Right, so I saw an anime recently called My Home Hero. Oh boy, this is one of a kind. I can't remember the last time I've seen something like this. Although, actually, I don't think I ever did. At least an anime. The closest thing to come to mind is Breaking Bad. However, well, the protagonist here isn't an evil megalomaniac. This anime series is definitely something everyone should check out, even if it's a bit clumsy at times and might not be perfect. What is it about? A regular old salaryman, Tetsuo is living his simple life, reading mystery novels, trying to write one himself, and worrying about his daughter, as any father would. But then, it just so happens that she meets him, with bruises on her face. She doesn't let him know anything, but being the curious sort that he is, he digs, and he finds more than he ever bargained for. What did I enjoy? The thrill. There's a constant game of cat and mouse going on, and the protagonist is completely out of his depth, but comes up with his harebrained schemes out of nowhere, all the while trying to juggle this gangster dragging him everywhere. Honestly, just saying this feels like a spoiler, so I'll just repeat that it's a recommendation. I also enjoyed the morality here. This perpetual grayness going on instead of black and white. I think it would have been easy to portray criminals as cartoon bad guys, the kind who'd strap young damsels to train tracks, steal candy from babies and the like. And sure, they aren't exactly good guys, but there is more to it. At the end of the day, everyone here is human, and it's just the way the humans are. Sometimes they do horrible things, even if we know they are truly horrible. I'd say the protagonist actually needs a special shout out, but I'd be lying if I said that he alone deserves it. So instead I'll praise three characters specifically: Tetsuo, the wife Kassen, and Kyoichi, whatever. And actually Kassen is just... this made me think of Bob's Burgers. It's a little bit of a stretch, but bear with me here. There's this funny scene at one point in Bob's Burgers where Teddy eats too many burgers, so Bob wakes up and says, "I'm killing Teddy." And Linda, being the supportive wife that she is, just goes from 0 to 100 in a second, ready to support his murder. Right there and then, just like that. This one scene is basically this anime, and Kassen truly pulls her weight, and more. I don't envy the situation, but I truly dream of meeting someone like that, meeting someone that supportive one day. Oh, and of course another thing I have to mention, this is about mostly adults. An anime about adults, imagine that, crazy. Anyway, there's an elephant in the room I need to address. So what would I complain about? The pace. So while the actual events themselves are fairly quick, the speed of episodes, the playback, it's like someone slowed down the episodes. At times I've watched it at 1.5 times speed and I couldn't actually tell that it was sped up most of the time. Only during a couple of shots there's this awkwardly rapid movement. But those are more rare than not. I'm assuming this ties into the second complaint, the animation. It's stilted, slow and a bit lazy. And it doesn't really feel like it's an amateur team. There aren't any fully badly drawn things here. It's not like I was the one animating this, no. Instead it's like they didn't have a budget, or the time, hence the really slow playback. They cut corners by dragging it a bit more, moving things digitally and adding fewer details during some of the more zoomed out shots. There were times I've paused and some of the faces were unrecognizable. And I'd say certain moments, especially the last episode and the more physical altercations, those are where the whole thing is really tearing at the seams. To be fair, a lot of it is about talking, walking somewhere, observing something happening, just as it isn't about extremely well choreographed fights or some dramatic fantastical creatures doing stuff. But it really shows, and it does make the whole thing feel very low quality, which is a real shame. I enjoy these kinds of shows a hell of a lot more than endless schoolgirl tits in your face number 5000, but I doubt it brings in the big bucks, sadly. Also, another thing, at times there's Tetsuo, the main character, he goes on these rambly explanations sometimes. I totally can't relate. And that's all fine and good, but the people he is dealing with are, for the most part, thugs. People not really well known for their patience. It's a little weird when they just indulge him and let him go on and on about whatever he's going on about. Or suddenly interject, or whatever else he does. It just feels too polite. I think this rando in the middle of a gang of thieves, drug dealers and murderers wouldn't really get to talk this much. Anyway, there are flaws, like always, but I think it's just such a rare topic to show in an anime that it needs to be watched and remembered.